Hey, veterinary friends, welcome to the Veterinary Life Coach Podcast. Today, I have a wonderful guest for you. Her name is Arlene Miller, and she is an AV rated attorney, which she's going to tell me what that is, a professional certified coach with the International Coaching Federation, a coach facilitator with Ingomu, a national coaching company. She's the CEO of Jewel Consultancy, working with women seeking work-life harmony and balance, which we all need. And she's also a transformational mentor for men and women. And the other thing I learned while I was talking to her before the podcast started is she is a meditation facilitator. So she's got a lot of things that are going to help us today. Welcome to the podcast, Arlene.
Okay.
So welcome. And I
Thank you.
always ask all my guests to tell me their story. So basically, from wherever you want to start, how did you get where you are today?
Well, when I was about 15 years old, I decided that I wanted to be an attorney. I wanted to help people. And there was also a thing in there about wanting to be independent as a woman. And so I did go to law school. I did
Nice.
become an attorney. I've owned two law firms, one in Cleveland as a solo practitioner, one in a suburb of Denver as a partner in a small boutique law firm. I loved it. It was great. It's also pretty stressful in the law.
I
And
would
I just
think
felt like
so,
I
yeah.
it's wonderful and stressful at the same time. And I just it felt like I'd had enough. And by the time that I was thinking it'd be nice to sell the practice, like I already had a diploma in coaching and mentoring. I already had a diploma in transformational holistic counseling. And I really just wanted to take that to a new level. So several years ago, we did sell our practice to our associates in the law firm, and I am a work-life balance coach now. I love it. I'm also a transformational meditation facilitator and mentor, and I love that as well. So that's a little bit about my journey. And also, I guess part of my journey has been being when I first opened my business, I found out I was pregnant. And so I've been a working mother with a business for my whole life. Now I'm a grandmother and I'm enjoying
Yes.
that. But that's part of my journey as well.
Yeah. And that you really do need work-life balance when you're raising kids and running a business, right? Because I did that myself. And at the time, people weren't talking about this subject. So I'm super happy that people like you are doing it. Did you get into coaching because of the fact that you had such a difficult job, or is that something you were always interested in even before you went into law?
I really wasn't. I was kind of like, was a little bit of a snob. I thought, well, I've got 4 years of college and 3 years of law school. I don't need anything else. And one of my friends who's brilliant opened her own coaching school and kept on saying, Arlene, this would be really helpful. And after 3 years, I thought, you know what? It will be. It will help me with my communication skills. It will help me with my negotiation skills. It will help me to work with my employees and be a better boss and a better mother. And it absolutely was that. It gave that to me. And I'm so grateful that I went through that 1 year journey.
Yeah. Isn't it a fascinating career being a coach? I really love it as well. It's so fun. So the veterinarians out there, the people that I try to speak to, are very interested in the work-life balance piece. So since you're a work-life balance coach, can you kind of tell us a little bit about that and what your theories are on that and how we work to establish some balance in our life?
Well, I hope we're not working to establish balance because we're always working. I hope it's more play and more creativity and feeling into it because I, as a coach, help people work from the inside out. I always say to my clients, hey, there's life hacks and work hacks and mom hacks, and all those things can help you to get organized. All those things can help you to have more time. But if you
Right.
feel anxious and overwhelmed and frustrated and all those kind of feelings on the inside, we have to start there, or the outside is not going to make that big of a difference.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I guess, yeah. So I guess that's where I come from with the space that I hold for my clients is that I'm going to follow your lead to help you create the life that works best for you, and maybe also see in that process maybe some patterns and programs that you're running inside that don't support you, that drag you down, that help you, that sort of make you play small, even just inside. What can we
Right.
let go of? What do we want to have more of in our life? And there's no like fixed formula with work-life balance because we're always changing and growing. I had young kids, now I'm a grandmother.
Yeah,
Those
there's
scenarios are very
stages of life,
different.
right? Yeah,
Yeah, for work-life
yeah,
balance and what's
right.
happening in your life. So it's an evolving, growing process. We never quote get there, but we can find ways that we're experiencing more calm assurance, more joy, more life satisfaction by seeing what gets in the way, letting that go, and then allowing new things to take their place. But I firmly believe that we have to start from inside.
Yes. Understanding your, understanding the way you operate, understanding the way you think. Yeah. Understanding the way your primitive brain works, all of those things.
Yeah, they all come into play. My focus more as a coach is your feeling. How does this work for you?
Right.
I do have that logical brain as being an attorney,
Of
but it's sort of
course.
got like out of hand, it's way too logical. So I've
Yeah.
really been
That
working on.
science brain doesn't serve you when you're trying to solve these kind of problems.
No, and I know that my clients have the answers inside of them. That if I
Yeah.
hold a judgment-free space for them, and I'm holding that space of unconditional positive regard, which is really unconditional love, and I ask powerful questions and I reflect back and I share what I'm noticing and I summarize and all the other great things we do as coaches,
Right.
that they're going to come to a better place within themselves. And I also feel that sometimes what we need is what we don't get from anyone else, that we as coaches give other people. And that's
Yes.
a place to be heard. I'm
Yes.
not trying to think about what I'm going to tell them what to do. I know you're not when they're sharing with me.
Right.
People, once we are just upset or frustrated and we're actually heard and understood, then something can drop away so that we can look at solutions and even creative solutions of where to from here.
Yeah. And I like what you said about understanding that you have all the answers because we don't always realize that it's all inside of us. We just need to have a coach or someone, therapist, whoever works for you, but have you unlock those answers.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but if I have a problem or something's bothering me, the worst thing that can happen is for someone to start telling me, you should do this and this and this and this. That's just
I
not
know we hate that,
helpful.
right? That's what men do. I,
I just don't, and so that's why I'd rather step back and maybe explore a little bit and see what happens. And so that's why I'm not giving you, we need to do this and this and this as a
right,
work-life balance coach, because
right.
it's an ever-evolving process and it depends on who's coming to us,
Yes,
what state they're in and what issues are presenting for them and where they want to be by the end of our time together.
right. It's all very individualized to that person's wants and needs and situation and personality and all of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you teach people or how do you overcome that imposter syndrome thoughts, self-critical thoughts, things that keep us from becoming our best self and living our best life? How do you teach people to work on that? Does that make sense?
Well, yes, it does make sense. And I like to keep things very, very simple because I think that sometimes we can make it way too complicated. So
Right,
what we're doing is, am I choosing to be an inner critic to myself, that blah, blah, blah inside of our head? You're so stupid. I can't believe you did that. Or you're doing that again, all that stuff.
right.
And the inner coach. And the way that I like to share the inner coach with my clients or with people, anyone that asks, is that we know how to treat other people. So if your own best friend or someone you really cared about was telling you the story of what's going on in their life, and you were the listener, and they were sharing all this stuff, and they were being critical of themselves, and they were talking about imposter syndrome, and you knew them, and you cared about them, and you saw their strengths and their weaknesses, what would you share with them? How would you nurture and support them? How would you champion them?
I
Because
love
we
that.
know how to do that for other people. So
Right.
we have that skill and ability inside of ourselves already. All we have to do is practice transferring it to ourselves and choosing to be aware of how we are talking to ourselves.
Yes. Regardless of what's happened in your past, Because I think sometimes we get stuck in the, well, I have people say to me, well, you don't know how I grew up and you don't know, they have very deeply ingrained stories about themselves that they're having trouble letting go.
Yeah, and a lot of people have that. And I think sometimes they just need to tell their stories until they're not, they don't want to tell them anymore. Maybe we're holding that big loving space where they finally see that the story that they're telling us doesn't work anymore. I've
Mm,
had that with clients as well, where they have this story and this is how it is. And they keep on creating the same situation over and over in their life, just dressed up a little bit differently. And as
yes.
coaches, we can reflect back, we can share what we're noticing, but it's really up to the client to decide when they're ready to drop that. You
Right.
know, we all have that kind of stuff. And the best thing that I guess we can do is to help people to begin to embrace that inner coach and just try it on for size. If it doesn't work, fine, but just see what happens when we start to treat ourselves with more dignity and kindness and compassion and respect.
Yeah, just slightly kinder in a lot of ways. Because I know that the perfectionism runs deep, the self-critique runs deep, the imposter syndrome runs deep. And if we can just crack it a little bit, we can start to make progress, I think, right?
Yeah, and also the people that are really on the other scale, where they think that they're so amazing and they're really not. Because
Yeah.
what can be under this for the veterinarians out there is there can be a lot of heartfelt humility. And
Yes.
humility is maybe the antidote. It's like, I see how far I've come. I know how far I have to go. It's like, oh my God, the Grand Canyon. But in the center, I can choose to love and accept myself as I am, warts and all. We all
Right.
have imperfections. Nobody here is perfect. You don't have to pretend to be. I'm certainly not.
No one.
And that will maybe help to begin to turn things around.
I love that. So we have a lot of opportunities in the clinics when we're working to get a little overwhelmed when things are getting too busy, when people are waiting a long time. So as a meditation facilitator, um, what advice could you give in the moment, if there is a moment in time when you're at work and you're feeling overwhelmed and super stressed out, to kind of try to get yourself on track so you don't go into that freeze mode where you're just so frustrated and overwhelmed that you can't operate? Are there some um, are there some techniques that you can teach us or something you can tell us to do in that moment to help?
I'm sorry.
Now I
Are
can.
you
That's
there?
okay. Yep.
I don't
Yep.
know. I don't know what's going on with my internet today.
That's
I
all right. It
apologize.
happens.
Uh,
Okay. So did you hear the whole question?
yes, I did. So I guess what
Okay.
before I would step back for a minute. And as the veterinarian, you have a staff that's working for you. And it's really important to train them to work with your clients and their pets they brought in with kindness and respect. I'm really sorry. We had an emergency. This is going on. Would you like to wait? It might be about this long, or would you like to reschedule? So you're already
Right.
talking to them. You're not just letting them sit out there, and you have a policy of
Two.
treating people with kindness, dignity, and respect when things come up that are beyond our control.
Right.
And the next thing we can do is just some very, very simple breath work. And the first one I love to teach people is we can take our bodies out of fight or flight mode by simply breathing in through our nose and breathing out through our nose, with the out breath longer than the in breath. Because
Simple.
when we go into fight or flight mode, when we're overwhelmed, when we're stressed, we breathe from the top part of our lungs. Sometimes we even hold our breath in between breathing. And that tells our body that a bear is chasing us and we're going to die, and there's no way out of it. So when we engage in simple kind of breath work to oxygenate our bodies and to slow our systems down and to tell our bodies that it's okay. I'm here, like as a soul, I'm here. The human's
Right.
crazy, all stressed out. It's okay.
Yes.
It's not your job to take care of this. As a vet and as the soul that I am, I can take care of this. And this simple breathing technique can help to bring us back down to earth. So as long and you have to breathe anyway, so you might as
Right.
well
Right. Right.
engage in breathing
And it
in through your
doesn't take
nose
a
and
lot of
out through your
time
nose.
to do that. It's pretty quick.
No, Yeah, but if you really are stressed, you might be doing this for 10 minutes while you're working on the pet or whatever you're doing.
Right.
And another thing that you can do is to make sure you're really grounded and fully present in your body. It's really simple. You just pretend you're a tree. And what I visualize is there's this column of light from the middle of my chest. It goes straight down my body. It goes out my feet like these beautiful roots of light, and it anchors into the heart of the planet. So I'm really grounded and fully present in my body. And I even like to connect with the heart of the planet to my heart.
I
So
love
my
that.
heart's connected to the heart of the planet. And I tell myself I am fully present and grounded here now. It's okay. I'm in the present moment. It is safe to be here now.
Yes.
And those are two very simple things that we can do. And the third thing that I would recommend is find anything to be grateful for.
Mm.
I'm grateful that I have the ability to help this pet or this animal. I'm grateful that the pet owner is whatever they are. Maybe they're not going screaming, they're not be upset, but they're under control. I'm grateful for my staff that is supporting me with the other people that are in the waiting room in this now moment.
Right.
I'm grateful for all the blessings in my life, but whatever you can think of in the moment that causes you to go, oh, that brings in the gratitude. Just focus on that. Maybe it's a vacation you took that was wonderful. You can still be fully present here now and still be grateful for something in your life. And that completely raises our vibration. It takes us to a place of gratitude, which is a really high vibration, other than fear. It's not fear. And
Right.
it's so breathing, grounding, and gratitude are would be like my three go-tos for
Yeah.
your beautiful veterinarians.
I love the tree thing. That's a really good way to ground. Just the
Yeah,
thought of it, because the visual of it is so just actually peaceful, right?
yeah.
It's into the roots and then the branches, and I could see where that would be a really good place to take your brain to try to calm it down.
Yeah, and if there's some place in nature that you can feel into, because nature's really nurturing, and we've all been out in places in nature that just you just sort of like chill. Some of my friends, it's like the ocean. For me, I love the mountains here in Colorado. Whatever helps you in nature, maybe you like to fish, like being on a lake and fishing, whatever just brings you that sense of peace that you can sort of visualize and feel that I might be here in the office, but at the same time, I'm grounded and fully present in this vacation spot I've been to before, this place I've been before, that I just let everything go and it was a different experience.
Yeah. And the first thing that you said is very important. And so I want to reinforce that a little bit is just stopping, because you get to that point where you're just so overwhelmed you don't know what to do, and you just you can't make a decision and you can't make a move, and you kind of do freeze in a way, and just stopping for 2 seconds, and just thinking, how can I ground
Yeah.
myself? How can I feel less overwhelmed?
Yeah. And I can also share something else because hopefully it's not too woo-woo for your veterinary people, but
No, we kind of like
anytime.
woo woo in a way
Okay,
sometimes.
good. I'm glad. Because anytime someone thinks of us or we think of them, or we have a patient or an animal in our office, we have all of our staff in our office that are with us and are interacting with us. We establish energetic connections with them.
Mm,
If these people are upset, wound up, scared, whatever is going on for them, if we don't cut those energetic connections that are not about love, we are going to be impacted by them.
sure.
Also, since we're a veterinarian, we are energetically, we are in, like I'm an attorney, I'm energetically connected with all attorneys.
Right.
So that you are energetically connected with everyone in your group, all veterinarians. So what you want to do bunches of times a day when you begin to feel stressed is you can just visualize that there's golden cylinder coming down around your body, and it's just cutting all energetic connections that are not about love. And where they were, there's this beautiful golden healing light that's healing those places. Because part of the way you're feeling is not your stuff. And the only thing that we can let go of and change into love is our own stuff. So you
Right.
have the whole veterinary community, all the patients, all the people that own the patients, all the veterinarians, where there's a tremendous amount of stress impacting you because you're a part of that group. plus
Yes.
everything that's happening in your office. So if you start cutting cords several times a day, that will help you tremendously because you will find that you will not be filled with so much fear because you're taking on the fear of all those people and the animals that are in
And you
your
don't need
office.
to, right? And then if you can get your energy in sync with calmness, then that will in turn influence them to calm down.
Right. Because the space that we hold as a professional is going to change how, or just as a person, is going to
Right.
change how other people respond in life. I'm sure we've
Yes.
all had experiences about that when we've been really upset and and the people will start attacking us or whatever that we're around. Versus if we have the same thing and even there have been attack mode and we just remain calm and collected and we don't buy into it, it just, there's no place for it to go. It has nothing to bounce off of.
Right. Well, I love that because I visualize a veterinarian in an exam room with a client who is either in grief or in anger or whatever emotion. They're big emotions, right? And we tend to absorb them and take them on. But you said the golden cone or golden tunnel going over you, cutting off those ties. That would be a perfect thing to think about in those instances so you can remain calm and therefore hopefully, they will be they will get calmer from your calmer energy, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. So, what do you tell veterinarians? Because we kind of talked about work-life balance a little bit. What do you tell people when they get into that mindset of guilt, either feeling guilty because they're at work and they're not at home, or feeling guilty because they're at home and they're not at work, or, all the other guilts that we have a tendency to pick up when we're working parents? What do you say to those people?
Well, first of all, we're too hard on ourselves. And for women, it feels like it's almost a genetic thing that's passed down from generation to generation. Because I can remember my mother like that.
Yes.
And I can remember my grandmother even being worse. She told me that her job was to worry about me. And I'm like, please don't do that. Please don't do that. You're just praying for what I don't want to have happen in my life. Stop that. But she didn't
Right.
really get that. So it's acknowledged and it's been a part of civilization in our lives. We're supposed to feel guilty about stuff or whatever it is, and it's nonsense. So what we need to do is just take steps to practice being kind and patient and tolerant with ourselves. What we need to do is find ways to what I like to do is in, encourage people to have, like I call it, an intermezzo experience. You've been to a fancy meal and you come to, there's one course and there's another, they give you something to cleanse your palate.
Yes.
So do something to cleanse your palate, when you get home. I like to take a quick hot shower and just wash off all the energy of my day and then
Mm,
change clothes and I'm somewhere anew.
yes.
If we start to feel that way, we need to have things in place that can help us to let that stuff go because we know it's not the truth. We can't be everything to everybody. We're doing the best that we can. Maybe we make mistakes and we can learn and grow from that mistakes. So we don't have to beat ourselves up for them, but we can have a basic plan of action of self-care and self-love for ourselves. Because if we don't have that, we're running from an empty cup and we're looking to other people to fill us up and make us feel better. So
Right.
if some people are runners, some people like to come home and read the newspaper. I don't know if people do that anymore. My dad did that. But you have something in place that can help you let those things go and really sometimes feel, well, do I need to tinker with things and change how I'm balancing things out in the moment because my priorities are different right now. They're not going to stay the same. It's always
Right.
going to be an influx kind of thing. And we just need to be adaptable and flexible. So I don't know if I exactly answered your question because there
Well,
is
you did.
no
I mean,
flat
that's
thing.
definitely true because we have the guilt of not being always with the kids, not being always at work. As an entrepreneur and a business owner, if you were home with your kids, you felt like you should have been at work and vice versa. But also that kind of bleeds over into taking care of yourself and feeling guilty for taking that time away from your business or from your family. And that it's a little different, but it's similar.
Yeah. And, sometimes we can do that taking care of ourselves with our families. I mean, a lot of families in Colorado, they go hiking together or whatever,
Yes.
or they go swimming together in the summer or skiing in the mountains. So it doesn't have to be necessarily an either or thing. But yes,
Right.
we do have busy lives, and it is important to be able to feel like, oh, wow, I'm really getting stressed. I don't want to go into that guilt and shame and blame stuff. I need to take a time out.
Right.
I need to make sure that I have a whole day off this week or whatever it is. We need to have things in place so that we don't get way over the top, and we have, things in place all along where we're engaging in that self-love and self-care, which can
Right.
be with our families or with friends or whatever works for us.
Right. And it's also important to set that example for your children, I think, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
If they see mom taking care of herself, they're going to be more likely to adopt that and take care of themselves when they get older.
Yeah. Because I had
Yeah.
to learn that. My mother would play tennis a lot, but she would
Yeah.
never buy herself any clothes. I mean, never. She would just buy them for the kids. So I
Right.
remember being like 14 and going, Mom, go out and buy yourself some new clothes.
Your
We
clothes
are
are
fine.
old.
I didn't say that to her, but
Right.
she was like, just, all those things that were ingrained in what you could and couldn't do.
Right. Yeah. She had her rules. So tell me a little bit about the meditation facilitation. You kind of already talked a little bit about that, but what does that mean exactly? Like, what do you actually do?
Well, basically, I just walk people through breath work and aligning to love and centering their hearts and being really grounded in their bodies. Sometimes it's a visual thing where they're visualizing, going to a beautiful place. There's all kinds of meditations out there,
Love
tons of
that.
them on YouTube. And so basically, I'm giving them some basic foundational skills on a feeling basis of what it feels like to release, relax, and let go, so they know that if they go and practice it on their own, or they watch a YouTube video, or they listen to a meditation app on their phone, they already are learning the skills of how to do that.
Yeah,
And
they
I
can.
and I guess what and I also want to stress that we can start with 5 minutes. Maybe just 5 minutes of breath work. And
Right.
there's all kinds of breath work videos out there as well, where we're just breathing and being with ourselves. We don't have to sit there for 20 minutes and have no thoughts in our head. There's all kinds of meditations. There's even walking meditations where you're not power walking, but you're just going at a slow pace and you're just really enjoying nature and
Yeah.
appreciating her beauty.
Do you consider
So
it like a mindfulness practice? I mean, that's the way it comes across to me. It's learning to be more mindful.
learning to be more mindful and giving ourselves permission to slow down
Down. Yes.
and to
Yeah,
let
that
go of
helps.
stress and stuff like that. And yes, it is a learned skill. So we have to be kind and patient and tolerant with ourselves. And we were learning how to ski like I did at 37. Oh my God, it was so scary. Um, we have to be patient with ourselves and practice quite a bit before we're gonna get that. I feel like we're getting anywhere. So that's
Right.
why I say start simple, start with 5 minutes, pat yourself on the back, and just do your best to make it something that you regularly do.
Right. Yeah. And it will really carry you through your day in a lot of ways with that feeling of just slowing down a little bit. I love that. So what did I not ask you that we want to make sure that we put out there for our veterinary friends before we wrap this up?
I don't know, is there anything else that you can think of as a veterinarian and working with all the veterinarians that you do that they regularly experience in their office and their lives that sort of gets in the way of just being in a more relaxed and joyful space when they're doing what they do?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of demands. Like we have this decision fatigue because as a veterinarian, even if you're not the practice owner, you're boss, kind of a boss to the technicians, the receptionists, the assistants. Then you have to deal with the clients, and then you have an unruly pet. And it's trying to kind of wrangle all those, energies and then keep yourself from being overwhelmed by that. And so I think it's just that decision fatigue or um, that just getting tired of being in charge of everything or being the boss or and then that worry about, am I going to make a mistake? Because our
Yeah.
mistakes are life and death, right? And
Right.
so our mistakes feel more grave than if we were working at Starbucks and we made someone's coffee wrong.
Right.
So
Right.
I think it's that mostly. It's that just
Yeah.
so many questions and decisions that you have to make in a short period of time, and that gets overwhelming.
It does. I mean, I've always been a business owner since I was 3 years out of law school. So that's a
You
long
know.
time ago.
Yeah, but
So what
you know how that is.
I do know how that is. And I guess what we did in our law firm, and I don't know if it transfers to veterinarians, is that we had people train other people in our office. So there was an office thing where everyone was working together to make sure that things got done in the correct way. And maybe there was an office manager. So it wasn't my
Yes.
responsibility to micromanage them, which would have driven me crazy.
Right,
And
right.
so I know that a veterinary office can be a smaller situation, but it just feels like it's important to delegate and to get people
Yes.
trained up initially and then have other people train other people and then maybe occasionally have meetings to make sure that things are running smoothly
Right.
instead of worrying that we have to take care of everything ourselves, which is just going to make us crazy.
Right, right. And then knowing that you can avoid making some of those decisions or let someone else handle it, or you can set a boundary and say, I can't make that decision right now. I've got five things over here that I'm thinking about. That sixth thing is going to push me over the edge. So
Right.
can it wait? If it's not a dying pet, it can probably wait. So just
Right.
being okay with saying that to people and setting those small boundaries in a day, I think is an important thing too.
Yeah, and if we can just breathe and stop and ground and say it with kindness. I know
Yes.
that this is important to you, but I have two pets that are on the verge of dying over here, and we can get that tomorrow.
Right.
And we'll do it when it's a calmer office.
Right.
And if you have to tell a client that that's why we're doing it, please do so that I'm not avoiding her, but I have two emergency situations. And I think if I feel very strongly actually that if we explain that in a kind, compassionate way to the people that work for us, they're going to understand. They
Yes.
see the stress that we're under, and they'll
Right.
convey that to, our other clients and their pets. So we can only do the best that we can do.
Right. Right. And you can only do so many things at once. So you do have to put
Right.
a limit on those things, right? Yeah, I
Right.
love
So it's setting priorities, taking time just to be kind to ourselves and others. And sometimes, no matter what's going on, we might just need to take a 5-minute break,
yeah. And
you
blow off
know?
a little steam.
Yeah.
Have a
Yeah.
little dance party for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I like to
If you
listen to
can.
music or just go out and walk around the block or something.
Yes.
It's really important. Then we can come back and be more of our best self instead of thinking that we have to stay there, every single second.
Right. Even in the face of feeling super overwhelmed and frustrated. And yeah, I love that. So tell people where they can find you if they want to learn more. And I would encourage people that if you like this conversation to leave us some comments with questions and we'll get back together, Arlene and I, and maybe we'll have another podcast together to answer because she's the type of person that is talking our language. These are the things that we all want to learn.
My pleasure. So, the name of my company is Jewel Consultancy, Jewel consultancy.com. My phone is 720-936-2634. So you can text me my phone number and everything's on the website. I'm also on LinkedIn under Arlene Cohen Miller. You can find me there. So, and what I'm offering, I have an offer. So
Yeah,
anyone that
sure.
mentions you as a veterinarian that they're coming to for their podcast, I'm happy to give them a free discovery session, which
I
is
love that.
45 minutes.
Yeah,
And it's about, what's going on in your life, your opportunities, your challenges, what's working for you, if not. If you like what happens, we can work together. If not, it's been great talking to you. And I just always feel to offer that to people that um, are my podcast hosts.
yeah. Well, it's a great opportunity to just do a little bit of research on these things if you haven't tried it before. Learn what coaching's all about. Learn what things you can and cannot solve. I would argue that you can solve anything in your life with a good coach, but just kind of stepping out of that uncomfortable space that you're in and reaching out for help, because we all
Yeah.
need it.
Yeah.
None of us is doing it all perfectly in this life.
No, some of my most grateful moments have been working with coaches. It's just like, oh my
Yes.
God, I could have never gotten there, but for this coach asking me this amazing question that just stopped
Yeah.
me dead in my tracks.
Those light bulb moments.
Those light bulb moments, but then helping me to take action, not just, glow in the moment.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Then what do you do with it? Right. So
Yeah.
maybe give us the action step before we wrap this up. Do you have a good action step for us today? Something easy.
It would, yes, the three things that we've talked about, which is taking the time to breathe
Yes. I love
in through
that.
the
Yeah.
nose and out through the nose, out breath longer than the in breath. Number two, taking the moment to ground, be a tree, those beautiful roots of light anchoring into the
Yes.
heart of the planet, being really fully present here. And number three, finding anything to be grateful for and really feeling that gratitude. Those are three things that can be like your emergency toolkit when you start to get
Yes.
overwhelmed. Have it there for you and practice it and see if you feel different.
Yeah, and you might even want to write those 3 steps down. So if you forget and you're in the moment, oh, like what, pull that card out. What did Arlene say I need to do?
Yeah.
And that will
And
help you remember. Yes,
practice it when you're not stressed.
right, when it's calmer, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you guesting with me today and talking to me, and it was great meeting you. And there's so many more things we could talk about, I'm sure. And maybe we will. But I really appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah, it was fun. So this is Arlene Miller, everyone, and thank you for listening today. I really appreciate it. And all of you go out there and have a beautiful week. Bye. Bye, Arlene.